It's time for another episode of the Core Extra Podcast.
He had the hair in the middle of his back.
Welcome to another episode of the Core Extra Podcast. I'm Kurt.
And I'm Steve.
And today is our premiere episode of 2022, the year 2022. And we thought it only appropriate to open the door to the attic.
Okay, now you know most of our attic stories are paranormal, scary, or unexplained, yes. Now this one here has a twist. Now this is going over to, this story starts in Southgate, Kentucky. Now I don't know if you're familiar with Southgate, Kentucky. Southgate had the old Beverly Hills Supper Club.
Right.
Now, if you remember about the Beverly Hills Supper Club, we'll switch this out if we don't want.
No.
Okay, if you remember, the Beverly Hills Supper Club was a swanky supper club over in Southgate, Kentucky. And it had big stars that would come in.
Oh, yeah. Dean Martin used to bartend there as a kid.
I did not know that.
Oh, not as a kid, but when he was younger, yeah.
And so the Beverly Hills Supper Club had a fire, obviously. We all know that, live in this area, but you probably don't out there. And lots of people were killed.
Yeah, it was a horrible fire.
Yeah, horrible.
Back in 77, somewhere around
You
there.
know what? I think I was like 12 or 13. I remember. Mm-hmm. So that's 48 years ago? I guess that's right, 77.
Yeah, right around 77.
Yeah, something like that. So they closed the place down, shut it down, but the buildings still stand there. Or they did stand. They don't anymore.
Right. And this is just across the bridge from downtown Cincinnati.
Yes.
Yeah, it's right across the bridge.
And so with the building standing there and all the, if you believe in it, all the bodies they laid all the bodies out in the front yard, if you remember. And you believe in this stuff of sudden or a quick death. Some people don't know that they're gone. A lot of people would go there and have seances, things like that, to try to talk to the dead. I don't know if it ever happened. The police would chase them away, but it kind of grew as a cult place to go. So that was in 77. Now we're going to flash ahead to, I guess I was maybe let me get this straight. I was probably 30. 28, 20, 27, somewhere in that area. So we're flashing ahead 15 more years, 10 more years.
Right.
So my grandma her property was up against Beverly Hills. And if you would go into her basement, there were 3 tunnels that led to Beverly Hills, prohibition tunnels, to get alcohol to Beverly Hills when you were allowed to.
Right.
Yeah. Now, I've gone into the tunnels, but they had collapsed.
Oh, okay. So you've been in there?
Yeah, I've been in them.
Oh, okay.
I've been in them. And I've gone back pretty far into them. But like I said, I was maybe 25, 26. So, didn't think anything could happen to you. Nowadays, you wouldn't go in those tunnels. No way. I remember one of the tunnels had an open well in it.
Mm-hmm.
So
these were the real deal.
These were the real deal. Her house was, the backyard of her house abutted Beverly Hills. So my grandma raised dogs, puppies, and she sold Pekingese and poodles and all small dogs, but she did it all out of her house. So there would be times where she would have 50 dogs, okay, in her front yard, in the backyard, and my grandma was an animal lover. I mean, I tell you, my grandma would throw sugar out for the ants.
Really? I've never heard of anybody doing that.
She would feed the ants.
Wow.
So that's what kind of person she was. She was an animal lover all the way through. So she got pneumonia. And she had to move with my mom over here on this side of the river. And we had to sell the house. Sell her house. and she had to come over here. But she had all the dogs. So we had to do something with the dogs. So they called the vet to come. And what happened was the vet came up and had to put down a lot of the old dogs. I mean, I'm talking about 30, 35 dogs.
That's too bad.
Down. We tried to find homes for many, but these were old, blind that she had kept. She wouldn't get rid of, hand feed the blind ones.
Yeah.
You know, so we had to put down 30 of them. So me and my friend, Bill Miller, had to go behind the property and dig this mass grave.
Wow.
And put these dogs in. Okay? So we had laying 35 dogs, which dogs are heavy as hell, you know, dead weight. And these are little dogs. They only weigh about 20, 25 pounds, but you're carrying 35, 25-pound weights down the hill
and
planting them. So we had this huge grave. So Grandma moves over here. So now we went from when I was 15, when Beverly Hills burned down, to when I was 25, when I had to dig the grave to plant all the dogs. Fast forward to I'm 45, 20 years later. I met this girl. We hit it off pretty well, and we're talking and everything. And she lived over in Southgate. She lived over in the shadow of Beverly Hills. And she said, "Oh, you cannot go there. That place is haunted." And I said, "That stuff's not true." I said, I didn't really believe in ghosts at the time. Now I do because we do the attic.
Right.
I really didn't believe in ghosts at the time. She said, "Oh, I can show you." And she was a real big fan of the occult. Real big. I mean, she had the black candles in her house and everything. I should have ran.
Oh, yeah.
So she pulls out all these clippings of these satanic cults and how they had killed babies and had dug these mass graves and put these babies in. You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
The satanic cult leader was me and my friend
Exactly.
who had dug all these mass graves and put all these dogs.
And she said they were the babies.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They had write-ups in papers of satanic cults.
Really?
Yeah, you can go back and look at it. I don't know if it's the Southgate paper or it's the Kentucky Enquirer, but if you search satanic cults found around Beverly Hills, you can literally find that.
So you're a cult leader.
I'm a cult leader. Oh. Now, that's not our normal.
Yeah, but that's good.
That's not our normal.
You're confessing to be a cult leader.
I'm confessing to burying dogs.
Damn. So the Southgate Satanic Cult mystery is solved.
Solved.
We're gonna deem this one solved.
Solved. Yes. So
only on the Attic on the Core Extra podcast do we get to the real stories of some of these cults.
So I mean, imagine I knew nothing about this satanic cult, and you end up dating the girl who knows about it.
She knows about
who
it.
Shows you the paperwork. Who was really into that? I don't know if she was a Satanist,
right?
But she was into
studying
the occult, and all that.
So, did you ever tell her?
Yes.
Oh, I'm surprised you didn't
Yes,
cut your throat. What did she do?
Yes, I did. I told her. I said, "Solved," and I explained the whole thing to her, and she said, "You have got to be kidding me," because what had happened was they had right now the supper club's gone, but at the base of it is a doctor's office. And what they had done, her brother worked in a construction company that tore up the ground to put the buildings in. And when he tore the ground up, all these bones come up.
It was literally like poltergeist.
Yes.
So they couldn't tell those were dog bones.
I guess, they embellished it a little bit. Or I buried 40 babies.
And didn't know it.
Didn't know it.
Your grandmother just said, "Hey, honey,
They could have been like JoJo the dog boy.
That's right.
Everyone.
You might be catalyst for that too.
But yeah, that's the story. They dug them up, found them, and it was big news. Mass graves found.
So had you not seen this on the news?
No.
Well, the news back then wasn't like now.
No.
I mean,
No.
you could be 10 miles and not hear about something back then,
Yeah, I did not see it. Did not even hear about it. Well, 20 years later, when I ran into her, that it came out. But that is the story in the attic. It's kind of not a really scary story for our attic,
It's creepy.
but it's creepy as hell, isn't it?
Very creepy.
Yeah.
Only on the Core Extra podcast, we solved the Satanic Cult of Southgate, Kentucky.
Of Southgate, Kentucky. So, it's just a different path to the attic.
Wait till next week on the attic when I tell you another creepy story. I have a story about reincarnation that you will not believe. That's on next week's attic. So until then, we want to thank everybody for listening. Welcome again to 2022.
Yeah.
And we want to thank everybody.
Did you do anything for New Year's real quick?
Oh, New Year's. Well, yeah, I went for the first time in my life. I went to a casino. Yeah. And we went out to casino and we ate and went out and went to a couple of casinos actually. I figured since this is my first time gambling, I might as well go to two places.
Absolutely.
And then that was it. What about you?
Went to the movies.
Oh, that's right. You saw Spider-Man.
Yeah. Should talk about that, but we will next time. Spider-Man, we'll talk about it next time.
Well, listen, that concludes our premiere show of 2022. We have another addict story coming to you next week, and it's a doozy.
Yes.
It's a doozy. So until then, I'm Kurt.
I'm Steve.
Thanks for listening, everybody.